Hey friends, today I have a fake hot dog with ketchup and mustard for you. Also, be sure to check back next week because I'm gonna have the french fries to go with this. So we're gonna start out with our foam clay, and I'm gonna start out doing the hot dog bun first. So I'll just condition my clay. I have a chunk here that's about the size I want my bun to be. And then I'm going to add some antique white to this just to give it a little bit of a base color. And just mix that in really well. And now I'm just going to roll this out to about the length that I want it to be. So now I'm just going to take my long clay blade and I'm going to cut this. So usually one side is a little bit bigger than the other side. So I'm just going to cut like that. And then I just want to go ahead and pull this apart right now before I pull the blade out, because otherwise it'll just stick right back together. And then you can just kind of use your hands to shape it up a little bit, however, whatever you need to do to make it look good. And then we want to texture the inside of this. So I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. If you don't have an X-Acto knife, you can use a toothpick to do this too. It'll turn out a little bit different, but pretty close to the same. So I'm just going to go in and give it a bread texture. So you'll want to go not just in one direction. You want to kind of go from side to side and back and forth. And then that way you don't just, because if you just go in one direction, you can see it's just making lines. So if you go across this way, then it kind of pulls it apart and makes it look like bread. Most of this won't show because of your hot dog, but I just like to do it so that if any parts of it show, that it'll look realistic. Okay, so now we need to shade the outside of the bun. So I'm going to mix up my Territorial Beige. I'm just going to do a drop of each one of these. Harvest Orange and Yellow. Then just mix those all together. And then I'm just going to get a lot of the paint out of my brush so that it just has a little bit of paint. And then I'm just going to shade the outside of the bun. Now I had some lines and things like that in my clay, and I just went ahead and left those because, you know, bread's not perfect. It has lines in it. You could intentionally make some lines if you wanted to, if yours looks too perfect. The top part up here is lighter colored than the sides, so just go a little bit lighter on that part. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside while we make the hot dog. So just condition your clay a little bit. Now for the hot dog, I'm just going to paint the whole thing, so I'm not going to worry about doing a base color. So even if you have scrap clay that is colored from some other project, you could use that because we're going to fully paint this. So just roll it out into a hot dog shape. Make sure that it fits your bun. I want mine to be just a little bit bigger than the bun. And then just round up the ends. So now I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm just going to make the little lines coming from the center. And then I'm going to do the other end. Just make sure everything's nice and even so it doesn't have any like bulgy spots, because hot dogs are usually pretty perfectly shaped. I'm just winging it on the color here, so I'm going to start out with some Territorial Beige, and then I'm going to add this pink eraser just a little bit and just see what happens. This is how I mix my colors, you guys. I do not know the answers all the time, so I just start mixing and see what happens. Okay, this seems to be going pretty well, but it needs some more pink in it, so I'm going to go for that. Just put some more of the pink eraser. So now I'm going to add a little touch of yellow. And I'm going to add some red. This is just a bright red, true red from Anita's. I'm not going to add too much of this because I'm not sure that it's the correct color, but I want to give it a try. Okay, so I'm going to try this color out, and then I'll probably do some shading on it too. So let's just see how it comes out. So I think that turned out pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my hot dog bun and then just touch up any paint that I need to touch up. You can wait for this all to dry, but you'll need to put some kind of foam adhesive or something like that so that it all sticks together properly. So I'm going to let that just dry for a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my ketchup and mustard and let the paint dry so I can shade it a little bit and add some grill marks. Okay, so for our ketchup, we're going to use our 100% silicone. And then I'm going to add some of my red paint. And a little bit of yellow paint. And a little bit of harvest orange. And then just a touch of melted chocolate. For our mustard, we'll use our white caulk. And you can use the Dollar Tree one or whatever you have. So I'm going to start out with some yellow. And just add some more. That's not enough to get the right color. I think that looks pretty good. If you want to change the tone, like if you wanted to make it look more like a Dijon mustard or something like that, you can try adding a little bit of Territorial Beige or Classic Caramel, something like that. Just a tiny touch just to give it that little bit darker hue. So I'm going to put both of those in piping bags, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now so they don't start to dry up on me while I finish up my hot dog. So I'm just going to push that down, and then I'm going to close up my bag at the top so that it doesn't dry out. So to shade the hot dog, I'm going to use, this is just the cup where I mixed up the color for my bun. So I'm going to add a little bit of melted chocolate to that. And then I'm going to do the same thing, get a lot of the color out of my brush, and then I'm just going to go in and shade the hot dog a little bit. And then I'm going to take a small brush and I'm just going to use my burnt umber and make some grill marks across. And now we want the hot dog to be shiny, so I'm going to use my gloss Mod Podge and just put a coat of that across. Wait for these to dry though. Wait for your grill marks to dry before you do that step. And now we just need to put our ketchup and mustard on. So just take your piping bag and we're just going to cut a small tip off. You don't want this to come out too big. So I've got that bag prepared, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing with the ketchup. So you'll have to decide how you want to put your ketchup and mustard on, if you want to just put it in like lines here, or if you want to zigzag it across the top. Just figure out what you want to do before you start doing anything. So just push the ketchup down into the tip of the bag and then just squeeze it on. And then we'll do the same with the mustard. Now the mustard's probably a little bit runnier, so be careful with that. Be sure to check back for the French fries that go with this hot dog. That video will be coming next week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.